You must follow the law. The law says...
Glorious. Is it a lawsuit? Probably. Why not?
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to Buckle Up. It's the Law with attorney Larry Forman. Folks, Turtle Boy versus Lindsay Gaetani in Worcester, Massachusetts. Today is on the platter. Folks, I have heard about this motion, and once again, this is one of those like, Larry, you gotta cover it, Larry, you gotta cover it, and by God, I shall. When you have something, folks, when you have something of substance, you can narrow it down in about 15, 20 pages, slap it on there, file it away, send it to court, and be happy with it. When you don't have anything, cough, cough, Lindsay, you write 91 pages of garbage. This is what I hear. I cannot wait to delve into it. We are going to cover the important parts. We're gonna skip the bogus. We're gonna go to the meat. We're gonna dissect her claims, and we are going to do it as quickly and efficiently as possible. So buckle up. It is going to be a wild ride. Let's go. This is obviously in Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Superior Court, Worcester, Aidan Carney versus Lindsay Gaetani. Lindsay's answer and counterclaim. Blah, 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 blah. She asserts a defense. She says Lindsay's request for injunctive relief in the complaint, seeking to silence Lindsay's speech about her victimization, constitutes an unconstitutional prior restraint in violation of the First Amendment, blah, blah, blah. What does this mean? Aidan is trying to shut Lindsay up, and she is going to put a stop to this. Okay? Let's take a look. Now, I want to bring your attention to number 4. You see, Turtle Boy has alleged that Lindsay has made some defamatory statements. She replies, "The statements referenced in the complaint were not defamatory. To the extent they assert fact, they are true or substantially true based on Lindsay's personal knowledge and experiences. Therefore, they express opinions and are protected under the First Amendment." You know what's not protected under the First Amendment, Lindsay? Lying about someone. If you lie, that is not protected speech. Now, truth is an absolute defense to defamation. Everybody knows that, whether it's slander, spoken, or if it's libel, written. Both are under the umbrella of defamation. First of all, learn the difference between those two. And secondly, you don't have that defense available to you if your statements were defamatory. And you know what? My gut is telling me that they were. I'm not sure why. Let's keep going. As to paragraphs 16 through 20, Lindsay says, no slander, spoken defamation, has occurred. The statements are true opinion or protected speech. So says she. The plaintiff has suffered no cognizable damages, and any alleged harm is self-inflicted by his own public conduct and disclosures. Whatever you did to yourself, Aidan. Now go shimmy on down the road. Furthermore, Carney has stated publicly on multiple occasions that his total social media viewership has gone up since the statements in question were made by Gaetani. In fact, after the statements were made, Carney reached 150,000 subscribers on YouTube, and Carney has also publicly stated, she writes, in the time since the statements were made, his income has gone up. So I made Turtle Boy more famous, says Lindsay. Thanks to me, Lindsay Gaetani, Turtle Boy is making more money. You are welcome. Tip of the hat to you, sir. Now dismiss your complaint and go F yourself. What? He is more successful, and that Carney has an upcoming movie, podcast, and book deals, all thanks to me. Lindsay, I am responsible for all of his success. So what are you doing coming after me, bro? Leave me alone. You can't make this stuff up. This is real. This is in an official answer filed with the court. Okay, let's keep going. Now, numbers 28 through 32 are of particular concern to me because it looks like Lindsay is like, et tu, Aidan Carney? Et tu, police officials? I had nothing to do with this. I did nothing here. Look at what she writes. Gaetani's public statements were also made due to the negligence per se of state officials. I did nothing. You blame the government, yeah? Who disclosed the art report in violation of law and their duty to Lindsay, and because those officials failed to take action on her report despite informing Lindsay that the investigation of Carney 4R was and remains open. Why are you coming after me, bro? I did nothing. It's the government. Go sue that. You want money? Go to them. I am out of this. Leave me alone. Hands up, right? Leave me alone. Wow. Wow. All right. Let's keep going. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, as a matter of fact, she actually points the finger and says, Aiden, you did this to yourself. Carney went on social media live show and brought up the essay allegations in question. Carney joked with other members of the social media show about the quality of the fornication with Lindsay during the essay. At another point during the public broadcast, Carney also joked gleefully about how Lindsay refused to give him roadhead on the night of the essay and attempted to flee Carney's vehicle during that portion of the essay. Oh my God, this woman is delusional. This woman is absolutely delusional, folks. It's all in a public filing. It's all in a public filing. All right. Let's find some more juicy details. Number 5 now we're in the affirmative defenses. Because Aiden is a public figure, now this part is 100% true. Aiden has to prove actual malice. As public figures, you have to prove actual malice by another actor if you're going to prove defamation. Remember, the same thing happened in the Johnny Depp trial. Easy. For those of you who've been around for that trial, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So Turtle Boy is a public persona, and he would have to prove actual malice, which I think he can. I think the damage is done to his reputation by Lindsay, especially for making up SA allegations. Oh, come on. It doesn't get much worse than that. Look at Johnny Depp. Again, I don't want to compare his situation to Johnny's, but, the analogy works. Because in her counterclaim, if you remember, Amber Heard countersued Johnny for $100 million after he sued her for $50 million. And in her countersuit, she said that he did like all of these things. It's literally Johnny Depp all over again in a smaller format, in a way, if you will. Nothing but lies, deception, and manipulation on the part of Lindsay, and it is disgusting. Now comes my favorite part. Number 7, and I suspect if I have learned anything about this before I'm actually reading it, because I'm reading it for the first time. Unclean hands. In order to sue somebody, you have to have clean hands. It is actually a legal term. It's a technical term. You have to not be contributorily negligent or comparatively negligent in other jurisdictions when you sue somebody. Like if you contributed to the damages yourself, you have what's called unclean hands. And courts will often either dismiss the complaint of the plaintiff if their hands were unclean at the time of the filing, or they will simply lower the damages by the plaintiff's own contribution to their injury, financial injury in this case, obviously, damage to reputation, etc., etc. By the way, just because Aiden has continued to rise in success does not mean that you have not harmed him, Lindsay. Do you understand what the term mutually exclusive means? Those two are not mutually exclusive. Maybe, but for your conduct, Aiden would have been at 200,000 subscribers. 50,000 people were like, I would have hit subscribe, but I heard about Aiden's SA allegations against Lindsay, and I'm like, I don't want to support a man who is accused of SA. Again, Johnny Depp comes to mind. Once again, his inability to do Fantastic Beasts 3, the new Pirates of the Caribbean movie, the 6th one that they were allegedly starting to work on or were going to work on. So many projects were scrapped. Johnny even left the country. I don't think he's been back since, like 2021 or something, or 2020. He just left because Hollywood has nothing more to offer him. He's been ostracized by so many people. To this day, even though he won his case, he still doesn't want to come back. Why? Because there are still people who believe Amber's lies over Johnny's. He didn't do anything. The jury has spoken. In a civil case, very similarly here, even if Aiden wins this case and if he wins money and everything, that still doesn't vindicate him. That is how sick and twisted false SA allegations can be and are. So be careful who you accuse, when, and how. If it's not true, don't do it. Very, very dangerous. Extremely dangerous for everybody involved. And again, number 11, any alleged losses or harms suffered, reputational damage, economic damage, were not caused by me, Lindsay, leave me alone. Carney's own actions, including talking about his Norfolk Superior Court case, his SA charged comments on his media platforms, his hostile and unprofessional treatment of viewers during live streams. What does that have to do with anything? But okay, my favorite part, quote, his harassment campaigns targeting the family of John O'Keefe and others and his general conduct that has alienated some potential audiences and stakeholders? Is this a 12-year-old writing this complaint? Will somebody please explain to me what is going on? I mean, I understand you have to assert defenses, but remember I started this video by saying when you have something, you can keep it short, keep it simple, stupid, KISS. That acronym works universally, I promise you. I have done this. There were times when I could have filed a 20-page motion, and you know what? I file a 3-page motion because those 3 pages are going to be much more effective because I can condense all the material that I need in order to show the judge, listen, judge, this is why we win. This is why, here are my arguments, here are my facts, here's the conclusion, give it to us. And you know what? More often than not, you are more likely to win those motions when you just like splatter everything on the wall and go, enjoy the read. And the judge is like, oh my God, I have to read a 100-page motion. Like, they sift through it. And I guarantee we haven't even found one nugget of value. I'm already on page 7, okay? I'm almost 10% through it. I'm waiting for the first sentence of substance to give Lindsay something. Give me something. Counterclaim. All right, let's get into the counterclaim. Facts common on all counts. On October 14th, 2023, Carney S.A'd Lindsay. The assault began at Mick Morgan's bar in Norwood, where Aiden engaged in non-consensual S contact in a public area. So do we have witnesses? I wonder, where are those witnesses? Are there affidavits attached? Do we have public statements from other people? If this is in a public area, there must have been people around, right? They would have seen it. They can come to court and testify. Yes, I have seen Turtle Boy did this to this young lady, blah, blah, blah. Are they there? Where are they? Let's wait and see. While driving Lindsay from the bar to her home in Medfield, Carney attempted to elicit Lindsay to perform oral S on him. Roadhead. In Aiden's words, Gaetani fled Carney's vehicle on an active roadway to avoid doing so, whereupon 2 passersby intervened and attempted to rescue her. Okay, so we have witnesses there. Let's go. Aiden then prevented those 2 passing motorists from assisting Lindsay, forced Lindsay back into his car, and then transported her to her apartment, where he engaged in further consensual intercourse while Lindsay was impaired and unable to consent. Aiden recorded the encounter without Lindsay's knowledge or consent at the time. That is a very, very, very serious accusation, folks. Think about it. Not only did she try to flee and he kidnapped? Let's count the felonies, the alleged felonies here, okay? We've got kidnapping, unlawful imprisonment, felony SA, probably in the 3rd degree, 2nd degree, possibly even 1st degree, depending on the circumstances. Nothing is outlined here. What about the 2 passersby are just going to be like, oh, let her go, she's fine? I highly, highly doubt that. Wouldn't they call 911? Something would have happened. Something had to give. This does not pass the smell test, folks. Okay? I have represented people in SA encounters before. We have heard about them on the news. We have seen them go through the courts. How often do women lie, and sometimes they actually even go to jail over these types of allegations for their lies and deception to the police, and later they come out and say, I lied about it, blah, 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 and then they get like 3 months in jail. Whereas if the guy didn't do it, but he gets convicted anyway, he gets 25 years. Make it make sense. Aiden's actions during the drive, preventing rescue and forcing Lindsay back into the vehicle, constituted, there it is, false imprisonment, as Lindsay was confined against her will without legal justification, causing her fear, humiliation, and physical restraint. As a direct result of the additional incident, Lindsay had incurred further medical expenses, the therapy for the trauma. She suffered increased reputational damage, the fear of public disclosure, endured heightened pain and suffering, flashbacks and anxiety, and incurred legal expenses. On December 14, 2023, during an interview with Lieutenant Brian Tolley and a private investigator, Nelson de Gouveia, I think is how it's pronounced, regarding Lindsay's knowledge of Aiden and another matter, Lindsay first reported the assault. Okay, so October 14th to December 14th, so 60 days go by, she does not report it at all. A week later, almost a week and a half, Lieutenant Tolley and the investigators served Gaetani with a grand jury subpoena announcement. The same day, Aiden was invited into Lindsay's home after she received the grand jury subpoena related to Carney and Karen Reed. Aiden declined the invitation. Smart man. During that day and into the morning of the next day, December 23rd, 2023, and mind you, this is 6 months before, five months, I guess, before the first Karen Reed trial started. So this is where things were heating up. I remember I gave Aiden an interview on my channel in September of 23. So this was right around this time, a couple months later. So then Aiden began a series of harassing communications towards Lindsay, she alleges. Aiden sent her highly sensitive judicial documents and made other implied threats until Lindsay provided information to Aiden. And then he said, I'm going to visit you the next day. On the morning of December 23rd, Aiden asked Lindsay to install the Signal app, which is, the app that deletes messages, to use it for encrypted communications, which is what it's used for. Aiden, after those series of messages and attempts at coercive control, peered at Lindsay's home, demanded to see her phone, threatened retaliation if she testified before the grand jury or refused to comply with Aiden's demands, took notes from her phone, wrestled her for the notes, and pushed her onto a couch. So now we have additional assault allegations on top. Okay, this woman has problems. Understand, folks, these allegations are extremely serious. The way that Lindsay was communicating with Aiden via text does not run commensurate with what she is alleging Aiden has done. And a lot of you I know have seen those texts. I've seen some of them. I've heard about some of them. People who go through these kinds of horrific events in their life, they're not going to hold their alleged abuser close to the vest unless they're either lying or they heavily contributed in a way that is inescapable from escaping culpability. Does that make sense? There is no way in hell that if this actually happened, that Lindsay would have been so bubbly and freely speaking to Aiden weeks and months after the incident. It just does not make sense. So, let's keep going. During this exchange, Aiden told Lindsay that she could legally delete all the information off of her phone because no preservation order has yet been served by prosecutors on Lindsay. When she asked Aiden what she should do at the grand jury if asked about the deleted information, Aiden told her to say, I don't remember when she's being asked those questions. I don't recall. I don't remember. Aiden then offered Lindsay a lawyer and said he would be willing to pay for it to help Lindsay. However, in the same breath, Aiden informed Lindsay that he could not trust her any longer, as she had spoken to the police, and in turn, Lindsay would only be permitted to meet with that lawyer with Aiden present. Lindsay declined all of those offers from Aiden. The next day, Christmas Eve 2023, Lindsay alleges that she reported assault and battery and witness intimidation to Lieutenant Brian Tolley. Tolley then called Medfield Police. Medfield Police then called Lindsay and informed her that they are going to be visiting her apartment. At that point, the Medfield Police took out a police report and issued a be on the lookout for Aiden. Emergency restraining order was sought by Lindsay and granted on Lindsay's behalf against Aiden. The day after Christmas, Aiden turned himself in and was sentenced to 90 days in jail due to a sustained finding that Carney violated his bail conditions on the December 2023 felony charges. The following year, a few days later, a couple of weeks later, January 8th, the original restraining order was extended for a further term of 1 year. Lindsay testified before the grand jury on February 1st and 3 weeks later on February 22nd, 2024. We are now weeks away from the first Karen Reed trial. On February 23rd, the following day, Aiden was released after 60 days instead of his initial 90-day term due to statutory limitations and was indicted on witness intimidation, which we all know is complete nonsense and bullcrap, and illegal interception of oral communications. In that same month, Aiden allegedly violated the restraining order and was charged accordingly. And if I remember correctly, didn't he already beat those charges in court? Correct me if I'm wrong, Chad. And don't forget to like this video, comment below, subscribe to the channel while you do that. Let me know, because I believe that trial has already happened and he won. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Now, around the end of February 28th, Lindsay was summoned to Medfield Police regarding a false accusation by Aiden that Lindsay wiretapped him by recording their intercourse without consent via home security cameras. During the interview, police demanded to view all intimate videos and photos on her phone of Lindsay and Aiden, which she provided under duress. So she provided, okay, under duress. Not sure what that means. She didn't want to, but she gave it to them anyway. What does that mean? In explaining examples of Aiden's own secret recordings, Lindsay described the October 14th, 2023 assault, along with 2 other occasions on which Aiden had recorded her during a intercourse act. Lindsay mentioned that the recording from October 14th, 2023 stood out due to the events of that night. Lindsay then described the events of the night of October 14th to Medfield police officers. At that point, police paused the interview and informed Lindsay that what she had just described was an SA. Lindsay begged them not to pursue charges at that time due to fear of retaliation, including Aiden's threats to release intimate videos, etc. Lindsay was never charged with wiretapping. In the following days or weeks, Lindsay informed her victim's advocate and Medfield police that she had changed her mind and wished to cooperate with the criminal process against Aiden for the SA. Lindsay also provided video and text message evidence to the Medfield police. The police confirmed receipt of that evidence and Lindsay's desire to pursue charges, but provided no updates. On April 13th, 2024, days, mind you, this is literally hours, not even days anymore, this is hours before Karen Reed's first jury trial was set to begin, Aiden publicly announced on YouTube, episode 654, airing April 13th, 2024, that Medfield police were investigating him for R, calling it a lie. This was the first public mention of the allegation initiated by Aiden himself. Now, on August 8th, 2024, an individual using the alias Haley Walbrecht, and for those of you who've been around on Twitter, or now known as X, you know who Haley Walbrecht is, later revealed as Jason Broyles, acting on Aiden's behalf, posted Gaetani Files Part 3 online, including an unredacted confidential police report of Lindsay's assault allegation. The Gaetani Files was a multi-part blog series created by Broyles for the purposes of targeting Lindsay on behalf of Aiden. Now, far be it from me to criticize at this juncture, but isn't that called journalism? Am I missing something here? You're trying to reveal the truth to the world about the facts of the case, acting in the capacity of a journalist. Unless I'm missing something, I don't see a problem here. But let's keep reading. The post was explicit and graphic in nature, and contained lies about Lindsay, mischaracterized the events, and falsely claimed police concluded no R occurred. Now again, pause. If an unredacted multi-part blog series was released, we can ignore anything that Jason/Haley wrote. We can simply focus on the main event, which is the unredacted police report. See, in order to be accused of defamation, folks, and I have been through this ringer myself. For those of you who don't know, in 2021, a police officer accused me of defamation. I have released the unredacted video on YouTube with my commentary. I don't think I made any statements. I simply had text over the screen. You, as the viewer, could independently view that video and determine whether or not that video was or was not true. You could watch it and say, you know what, I don't believe anything Larry says. You had a right to do that. And that's what the judge said and dismissed the lawsuit. The sad part is when you are releasing unredacted, truthful, honest information, and as a result of that, there's a cascade of events and people read it and look at it and go, I don't buy it. You can't go back and say, well, they said, along with the release of the police report, all sorts of like false and defamatory statements. All of those folks are irrelevant. Now, if you falsely manipulate, cut, dissect, only take the favorable parts, removing the unfavorable parts, and only post the latter, or excuse me, the former, which is the favorable parts to you, but you are kind of like hiding the parts that are hurting your case, that's a no-no. You can't do that. But there is literally an admission. I'm going to read it again for those of you who may have missed it. Jason, aka Haley, posted Gaetani Files Part 3 online, including an unredacted Keyword unredacted. All the facts were in there. Confidential, whatever that means. There's no such thing as a confidential police report, okay? Police report, if I'm a reporter, I can go to a police department, file a Freedom of Information Act request, and get a copy. Unless it's still under investigation, which sometimes they'll release it even if it is still under investigation. It doesn't matter. If it's leaked, it's leaked. As long as it's unredacted, you have the full facts, there is no problem. No matter how insane or bad it makes Lindsay look, none of that matters. Facts are facts. And if it looks bad on you, Lindsay, that's on you, not Aiden. If the report makes it look like Aiden didn't do anything, that's on you. You're the one who made the report. You can't just make a report and then hide behind a veil and say, no, I'm not here. Stop looking. Stop trying to find me. I'm not here. Can you imagine what kind of world we would be living in if that was the case? If you could just file SA allegations and then the report is sealed forever and then people get prosecuted, nobody knows what's going on? That's a totalitarian regime. Good gravy. Is this woman awake or what? Doesn't seem like it. I don't think she understands how the world at its basic precepts operates. She needs to understand that when you go and you falsely accuse someone, and if this is the case here, the public is gonna know. And the public is gonna judge you. Okay? All right, let's keep going. This is crazy. This was the first time that Lindsay had been exposed to the details of her own R report, which she could have gotten a copy at any point. That's bogus. I don't buy it for a second. On or about 2024, is there supposed to be a date there? I assume that they missed the date. And prior to releasing the unredacted essay report on or about August 8th, 2024, Jason posted a series of blogs and videos titled Gaetani Files Part 1 and 2 on his platform, which targeted Massachusetts audiences, aligns with the objectives of Aiden, Turtle Boy Daily News, and YouTube channels as to targeting Gaetani with false and defamatory statements, then in turn incited Broyles and Carney's audiences to engage in a large-scale harassment campaigns against Gaetani. Oh my God, this is Amber Heard 2.0. Again, I keep saying it, I'm going to say it again. This is not how you phrase that frickin' statement. Large-scale, encouraging, inciting audiences to engage in the large-scale harassment campaigns against Gaetani. Without even looking, I can almost guarantee that it's highly doubtful that these people went out and say, go and get her, go get Lindsay, show up at her house and throw stones at her window, blah, blah, blah. Like, I highly doubt that. I think they were simply exposing her for what she has done, and she didn't like it. She didn't like being exposed for the lies that she perpetrated in falsely accusing someone of SA, which is an extremely serious crime on the part of Lindsay. If you falsely accuse someone, you deserve to pay the price. Right, Amber? That's why she's been living in Spain for the last 3.5 years. Why do you think she left? She can't show her face in America because everyone who looks at her goes, ugh, and walks away. Because everybody knows. There's like a small pocket, just like, go Amber, no. Those people are idiots. Oh, God. These blogs and other public statements by Broyles contained numerous false statements about Gaetani. Again, the public has the right to sift through whether or not they believe the statements. It's totally irrelevant. They can make all the statements they want, including but not limited to accusations of fraud. I wonder why. False statements about Gaetani being a fake victim of domestic violence. Hello? Fabricating her sexual assault allegations and engaging in criminal or immoral conduct, all of which were made with the knowledge of the falsity or reckless disregard for the truth. So she's countersuing him now for defamation, it sounds like. Broyles' Gaetani Files posts induced a massive campaign. Again, campaign. What is this? What are these words? Massive campaign of public harassment against... No, the people reacted. The people read the report and they went, you lied. You C-word or whatever, because I made my own independent judgment as a member of the public after reading the report myself, making my own independent determination, irrelevant of what Broyles and Aiden may have said about it. I have a right to make an independent determination. That's not defamation, lady. That is not defamation, for God's sake. That is the truth coming out. You can't hide from the truth, Lindsay. What are you doing? God. This is ridiculous. Broyles' Gaetani Files posts induced a massive campaign of public harassment against her, with his audience and Aiden's followers engaging in online and real-world attacks, including threats, derogatory comments, and public shaming to the benefit of Aiden's efforts to discredit Gaetani as a victim and witness in his criminal cases. Which, again, truth is an absolute defense to defamation. So if you lied and they nailed you on it, that's a you problem, Lindsay. Do you understand that or no? Because if you don't, God help you. What the hell, man? And by the way, for the record, I just want to take a pause for just a second. People might look at this video and go, oh my God, this lawyer is like just supporting men and he's all for men and he's all about men and oh, those poor women victims. Let me set the record straight that in not one, but two separate cases, Weinstein and Masterson, both trials, I covered the first one more than I did the second one. I was on the side of the victims, okay? Because the facts were damning, the facts were bad, and I believed the SA victims in the Masterson trial. Remember the whole Scientology BS, which I don't want to get into because we're talking about Aiden and Lindsay here. I do not follow the male. I follow the truth. You see the difference? I follow the truth. And in those two cases, I believed that the guy did it. Masterson is serving prison time, and rightfully so, and good for the victims. Those ladies deserve justice, and they frickin' got it, man. And they deserve that justice. Same with Weinstein. That bastard probably did all those things. Maybe not every single thing, but probably most of those things, if not all of them. You know what I'm saying? Same with Bill Cosby. I never covered the Bill Cosby trial because that was before I had a YouTube channel. But by God, if I had covered that case, I'd probably be on the side of the victims as well. Which, by the way, they also showed up at the Weinstein trial in Los Angeles back in 2022 in November. I remember seeing them all there in the hallway on the 9th floor of the Los Angeles County Superior Court. That was a trip, by the way. I like to come to these cases. Like, I don't just cover them. Sometimes I'm physically in the courtroom. For those of you who've been following this channel, you know, I went to Johnny Depp, I went to Alec Murdaugh, Alec Baldwin, I went to Masterson, I went to Weinstein, Karen Reed 1, Karen Reed 2. I like to travel. I like to be physically on location. So again, don't forget to like this video, comment below, subscribe to the channel. I am telling you folks, this is sick. If this is true, what Lindsay has done, and I've been following this case on the sidelines. It's been a lot, so you have to excuse me. I'm still catching up on some things, but I'm telling you, I know the nuts and bolts of this case, and I can tell you right now, if this is what happened, if this is the truth, that Aiden posted this stuff, there were Twitter posts, whatever, and the public independently came to the determination that Lindsay is lying, it doesn't matter what Aiden may or may not have said. It is completely irrelevant. Because I, as the public, can read the unredacted open report and make my own decision as to whether or not I believe what is written. And if I don't, that is a Lindsay problem, not an Aiden problem from a legal standpoint. Does that make sense? And in a public standpoint, I mean, being crucified in the court of public opinion, again, Amber Heard comes to mind. So let's keep going. So as a direct result of Broyles' actions, Lindsay suffered, and who cares? Why are you mentioning that? I thought it's a counterclaim against Aiden, unless you're going to throw Broyles in here, Jason Broyles as a co-defendant. The lawyers should have considered that. That makes no sense. As a direct result of Broyles' actions, Lindsay suffered severe emotional distress, further reputational harm, loss of credibility in her community. I wonder why, with law enforcement and with the courts, again, medical expenses, increased therapy costs, pain and suffering, and legal expenses to counteract the harassment. So you messed up, you lied, and now you're crying wolf about it. If that's the case, Aiden has done nothing wrong. If that's the case. On August 10th, 2024, Aiden admitted on YouTube that he provided the report to Haley for posting. Sure. Okay. Aiden has his own platform. He can post it himself too. The unredacted R report was then posted with malice and in a manner designed to humiliate Lindsay. Again, if it was unredacted and it was posted, you know what malice is, Lindsay? If Aiden and Jason conspired together, they took your report and they said, all right, we're going to take this out. We're going to take this out. We're going to take that out. We're going to take this out. And then post it. I'll be like, you know what? That's a no-no. Can't do that. You can't do that. You can't post an unredacted report with malice, folks. Designed to humiliate, you mean expose the truth about what you said to the police? I feel like I'm beating a dead horse. We're going to keep going. Several comments by Broyles and others on those social media posts included language calling Lindsay a slam pig who got railed from behind when describing the video. Okay, so they made some unsanitary comments. I will give you that, okay? They probably should have toned down the language a little bit, sanitized the language a little bit. Okay, I'll give you that. This one I will give you. That's a little egregious. There's no need for that to kind of come after you from a point of, you've suffered enough. I get it. But that's not defamation. That's not defamation. That's just really poor taste and definitely should have been avoided. That I will give you, Lindsay. You get one so far. We're on page 14. So far, you got 1 point. This is how bad this is. Aiden and others cropped screenshots related to Lindsay's communications with Aiden prior to and following the R. Those actions further tormented Lindsay. Okay, again, I need to see what those are in order to make a better judgment, but a judgment call. But I'm not sure. After all of this, I don't know if she's got anything. We'll see. November 12th last year, about 10 months ago, Lindsay emailed Lieutenant Tolley reporting further harassment and inquiring about the lack of charges or updates on the assault investigation. There was no response from Tolley. 3 days later, she emailed Tolley again, forwarding screenshots from a woman named Christina Machete, who had been a former acquaintance of Aiden, showing Aiden's messages falsely describing the video, claiming Lindsay was standing and yelling explicit phrases, which was untrue, and threatening Machete for believing Lindsay. Aiden defamed Machete in a blog, threatened her that she should delete her social media accounts. Machete has not been heard from since. Okay, so she's in the wind. Carney has similarly harassed others who have defended Lindsay. Medfield police informed Lindsay that all future reports from Lindsay regarding Aiden were to be directed to Tolley. At that point, Lindsay expressed to Tolley fear for her safety due to escalating harassment, i.e. death threats. No response was provided by Tolley. For those of you who may have forgotten who Lieutenant Brian Tolley is, first of all, in the description below, I'm going to include a link to his testimony from trial number 2 that I have done on the cross-examination by Alan Jackson in the Karen Reed case. This guy is full of nothing. He's an empty sack of crap. When he was investigating the Karen Reed alleged murder of John O'Keefe, let me tell you, Jackson points out so many holes. It's only an hour and 10 minutes, and folks, I encourage you to watch it. It is so good. It is so good. Jackson just rips him apart. He has no answers. He has no answers to anything, and you can hear my commentary as well on the case. And you will read the comments. Feel free to read the comments before you watch the video. You'll see what I mean. Tolley is a bag of crap. Okay? Now, this is the same guy that Lindsay is now reaching out to, and this same bag of crap is ignoring her. What do you think that means? And everybody else she reaches out to in the police department, hey, can you guys help me? Can you guys help me? They're like, talk to Tolley. Okay, I'm talking to Tolley, and Tolley's like, I don't want to talk to you. Now, far be it from me again, because I just insulted Tolley in so many different ways, but the fact that a police officer is dodging your calls and emails and doesn't want to interact with you, you really think it's because Aiden, whom they hate his guts and would love to put him on a cross and, basically politically assassinate him, character assassinate him by any means necessary before he continues to spread the truth about the Karen Reed case. But we're not going to do it because what? We like him all of a sudden? The fact that Tolley probably had an immense dislike for Aiden, and despite all of that, when Lindsay came to you and was like, Tolley, help me, I've been essayed, yada, yada, yada. And Tolley's like, as much as I hate the guy, I can't. You don't have anything, Lindsay. Doesn't that tell you everything you need to know? Without even reading the report, for those of you who have not read it. I have not read it. I can tell you right now, I have not read the report, but I have what's known as common sense. The masses have spoken. The masses, you can fool one person. You may be able to fool a group of people in an enclosure. You cannot fool large masses of people, especially when you are revealing the reports themselves. Now, if Aiden had concealed the reports and made his own judgment calls and people followed him blindly, that would be a different story. But that's not what happened here. You see the difference? This is extremely important. Let's keep going. On November 27th, Lindsay emailed Tully again, detailing further new harassment, including threats from Broyles. Don't make me accelerate. It's not going to be good for you. YouTube videos, blah, blah, blah. Carney threatened to sue anyone calling him an artist, depose them, and to use it against them in criminal cases. Lindsay expressed terror. Why were you terrified, Lindsay? Because you realized you got caught in your lies? Or was it something else? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, comment below, subscribe to the channel. And reluctance to testify. Well, you would be reluctant to testify if, again, you got called out. That makes sense. You know, A plus B equals C. I'm not making anything up here. I'm just following the trail of breadcrumbs, lady. The trail of breadcrumbs that you created that was exposed by Aiden and Jason. I fail to see a problem. No response was provided by Tully again. So Tully continuously dodges. Doesn't that tell you everything you need to? The police are like, we're not touching that. This case is, That is really, really, really bad for Lindsay. Lindsay, in fact, emailed Tully multiple times over a 2-month period from October to December of 24. No response ever provided. Earlier this year in January, a renewal of the restraining order was denied. So now even the court system is like, the restraining order we had before, dismissed. More evidence. That night, January 7th on YouTube, Aiden falsely, again, that word is being used so loosely here that I don't even know anymore, falsely claimed Lindsay's illegal fundraisers were fraudulent and that she only paid her lawyer $1,500 of the $8,000 charged. In fact, Lindsay paid the lawyer in question $6,500 from the $8,000 retainer and was refunded $1,500 for the balance owed to her. She then retained a second lawyer. Aiden's lawyers in the context of ongoing. Okay, so the balance from that retainer and the further $2,000 was paid to the second attorney. In sum, Lindsay's total legal expenses exceeded $15,000. Aiden's false statements about Lindsay's legal fees and fundraising were published to a wide audience via YouTube, a platform. Okay, nobody cares. I'm getting bored. I'm sorry. Am I missing something? Please let me know in the comments below if I'm missing something. If I'm missing something, I need to know, because so far it is 99% nothing burger. And were intended to impugn Lindsay's integrity, accuse her of fraud, and further damage her reputation. So again, it's not damage to your reputation if you did it to yourself. Learn the difference, okay? Potato, potato. Tomato, tomato. These statements were made with actual, again, reckless disregard for the truth, pointless, meaningless, doesn't mean anything, empty words. As a direct result of these additional defamatory, it's not defamation, truth is an absolute defense. The people have a right to look at the report, decide for themselves. Lindsay suffered further reputational harm, emotional distress, medical expenses, pain and suffering, legal expenses. Again, if you did it to yourself. On January 8th, Aiden filed this lawsuit after the restraining, and now the court system is on his side. By God, I would have done it too. At undated points, Aiden falsely told a Boston Magazine reporter accompanying him to Medfield police that Lindsay illegally recorded him without consent, leading to this bogus wiretapping complaint. Aiden repeated this lie in blogs and YouTube, claiming she hid cameras and shared videos. I mean, if those videos exist, they exist. If they don't, they don't. If they've been shared, they've been shared. If they haven't been shared, they haven't been shared. End of story. Lindsay repeatedly contacted police about the assault investigation, providing witness names. Police confirmed it was active as late as January 2025, but refused her formal request for the report due to an open investigation. So how did it get leaked to Jason and Aiden? If she was denied, maybe they didn't want her to have a copy because of other reasons? I mean, open investigation makes sense, but then how did Aiden get a hold of it? Something is not making sense here. On one visit, well, hold on. Let me state this. Actually, this is important. Maybe she wanted the whole file, not just the report, because the report is already out there. Obviously, why would she want it? Maybe she wanted the whole file, and they're like, no. It's an open investigation. And Aiden just went for the report, and he got a copy of the report. And he probably got a copy of the report because he was the one being accused of SA. You know what I mean? I know he won one of these cases in court. Again, chat, let me know in the comments below. I don't remember which one did he win. On one visit with Lindsay's friend... Okay, please tell me this is a joke. Grant Ellis Smith. You're friends with Grant? Grant is your friend? Have you all ever seen Grant's content? Again, I don't want to hate on another content creator so openly, but He is really, really, really bad. His opinions are very, very vague. He has nothing of substance to offer his audiences. The dude's got nothing. He is always reaching. He's always reaching for something somewhere, and he has failed 99% of the time, maybe even 100. He is also accused of assaulting a reporter while waiting to get in the Karen Reed trial. I think it was trial number 1. He was banned from the courthouse because he was not allowed to be next to this reporter because there was a restraining order against him. That's Grant. Grant's mother, Wendy, is another piece of work. She has appeared on multiple platforms defaming Karen Reed and insisting on her guilt and how the justice system has failed them. Lindsay, you are aligning yourself with Grant. That tells me everything I need to know. Grant was permitted to attend as emotional support. If Grant is your emotional support animal, you got bigger problems, lady. Medfield police discussed the case. On another occasion, the Medfield police cited insufficient prongs for date R charges based on a 15-second video clip of Aiden S.A.ing Lindsay, allegedly. Detective Haldeman later refused additional evidence, babysitter screenshots, witness names, and blamed the district attorney for improperly releasing the unredacted report to Aiden. The man being accused doesn't have a right to confront his accuser? Are you stupid? What am I reading? I'm still trying to figure out what on earth am I reading. This is not a counterclaim. This is an admission of guilt. That's what I'm reading. Am I missing something? Again, please tell me if I am, because I don't think I am. Everything is falling into place like dominoes. Then, in 2025, Medfield police yet again changed course and informed Gaetani that the R investigation was still open. When in 2025? There's no date. Again, your lawyer should be doing a better job of delineating the timeline. The status of that R investigation, to Lindsay's best knowledge and belief, is still open as of the date of this filing, which was just a few days ago in September of 2025. And she received a voicemail in January from police detective Dylan Haldeman, wherein he reached out for the purpose of obtaining more information from Lindsay about the night of the essay, the alleged essay. Lindsay only went public to counter Aiden's lies about her as a fake victim after he disclosed the allegation and spread the report in out of context cropped text. I'm being honest, folks. I'm getting bored, and I don't want to waste your time. So I'm going to try and see if I can find something. So here's one piece. Number 54 says, under the Massachusetts General Laws, Section 41, Part 41, Section 97D, reports of R and SA are confidential and not public records. They must be maintained in a manner assuring confidentiality. Additional statutes, confidentiality of victim counselor communications, and victim counselor, I don't know if that's been leaked, but okay. Federal privacy protections impose duties on law enforcement and prosecutors to protect victim information. So if it has been leaked by the government to Aiden, then they're both liable. Okay, I read the statute. It does not seem to have any loopholes in it. But here's the thing. If Aiden lawfully obtained that information, I don't know. Is leaking it a violation? Maybe, maybe not. Again, especially if it's a way to vindicate yourself. You see how reality sometimes conflicts with laws? These laws, I think, are a bastardized version and have led to a lot of false allegations of what we have today in the United States of America. If you have statutes that are designed to protect victims but are completely ignorant, the term violator does not appear in Section 97D, not once. I looked at it. I read it. Not once I was looking at the term violator. I even did a Control F to see if violator appears anywhere in it. That's not fair. That is a statute that I would argue is unconstitutional and unenforceable. Yes, you meant well, Mr. and Ms. legislators, when you signed that bill into law. But it has to protect both sides, both the victim and the offender, especially if the victim is allegedly false allegations. That's not fair that the perpetrator, which now becomes the victim, literal Darvo by the Massachusetts legislators, they're Darvoing the victim and offender. If Aiden has complete inability to protect himself, he has to keep everything secret, that gives Lindsay, the perpetrator of a false report, carte blanche to do whatever she wants. How is that fair? That's not fair. Aiden has a right to defend himself. Make it make sense. Okay, now this blows my mind. Detective Haldeman this is number 56, informed Gaetani that the release of those documents was a screw up by the Norfolk County DA's office, acknowledging it should not have occurred without redactions, even if the investigation were closed, which is not. Haldeman was involved in the investigation, including interviews, evidence collection, and communications about the report status, yet failed to prevent or mitigate the improper disclosure. Okay, so how is that Aiden's fault? How's that Jason's fault if they didn't do their job? Aiden doesn't know the law. And I would again argue he didn't violate it. On paper, maybe. But the reality is no one is ever going to come after him for that because they themselves screwed it up. Do you see? They did this. You can't then say, oh, you're not allowed to do that. Well, you gave it to me. What am I supposed to do? Oh my God, this is insanity. What am I reading? So now she's trying to pin on she's trying to pin on Aiden Tolley's actions. Multiple further emails were sent from Lindsay to Tolley in 2024, and Tolley's inaction contributed to the ongoing harm and allowed the leaks. So Tolley is to blame, not Aiden. So go after the police department. Go after the Norfolk DA's office. They're the culprit. What did Aiden do? To spare you the details, the next 5 pages are basically a regurgitation of everything previously indicated, and it's like a self-fulfilling, self-repeating document. I don't want to bore you with that. But on page 24, I found something interesting, and I have to go over this. This is paragraph 82. Any alleged losses or harms suffered by Aiden, including reputational or economic damages claimed in his complaint, could very well have been the result of Aiden's own actions. I did not do nothing, says Lindsay, once again, including his open felony cases, blah, 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 which I think has brought more attention to his platform, myself, his charged comments on his media platform, his self-identification as a S-cult leader who runs an S-cult every Thursday night, Aiden's mock S interaction with a children's doll while live on the air, Aiden's stated preference on air for preferring S relations with cats and dogs, Aiden's public pronouns that PDF is a kink and that is okay as long as someone doesn't act on it, Aiden's remarks, I hope a lot of these were made in hyperbole, Aiden, just for your sake, because I don't know about any of this. Remarks that many women enjoy our fantasies. Aiden's admission in court under oath that he made revenge P of previous girlfriends other than Lindsay. Posting a video of social media where Aiden, in front of an elementary school, proclaiming himself as an S-goblin. His hostile and unprofessional treatment of viewers during live streams. His harassment campaigns targeting the O'Keefe family and others. And his general conduct that has alienated audiences and stakeholders. Again, if his audience likes it, if any of this is true, I have no evidence of it either way. It sounds like Lindsay does. It still does not excuse your conduct. Everything that you just said may be horrific, and it is horrific, but it doesn't help you in your defense. It may be a mitigating factor to some extent. Maximum is what I will give you. I can't even give you a point for this. You are now just actually maybe slandering Aiden. Maybe some of these things are taken out of context. Again, I don't know because I wasn't there. If true, it's bad for Aiden. Okay. If not true, now you are the one defaming him. Do you understand? So the rest is just an outlining of all the counterclaims that she has against Aiden. We've already gone over them. There's no need to go over them again. The only thing that I want to point out, because I'm very curious who represents her, who's the lawyer that drafted this? Why am I not surprised that this was filed pro se? Because I was like, whoever drafted this needs to have their bar license revoked. I just didn't want to say it out loud, but now I can say it because I can see it was Lindsay, because it's Lindsay's name at the bottom, and it says pro se. Pro se means representing herself. Folks, before you file anything in court, make sure to run it by a lawyer. Allegedly, you've hired a lawyer. Did you run this through ChatGPT? This, now I'm starting to understand why it's like, it's got the elements of it's written by a lawyer, but the content and the substance is not written by a lawyer. Now, it's very repetitive. It repeats itself. For 47 pages of this stuff could have been condensed to about maybe 15 pages. If you got a really good one, 10 pages. Believe me when I say this, quality work can be done quickly, succinctly, directly, and to the point. You don't want to waste. A judge is supposed to be reading this at some point and to determine whether or not to, first of all, allow these counterclaims to move forward, and secondly, whether or not to dismiss Aiden's complaint at some point, depending on what sort of motions you're going to file. I'm not going to tell you what they are because you're going to use them. That's why I don't want to help you. I want to help Aiden because to me, so far, it seems like I have read and scanned through the rest of the document that you have provided. There's no need for me to bore you guys, my audience, with all this nonsense that she has spread over the next 25 pages. So allow me to TLDR it. She just goes through all the additional counterclaims that she wants against Aiden, namely intentional infliction of emotional distress, invasion of privacy, abuse of process, the violation of the statutes that we discussed, negligence per se, and so on. Oh, and of course, false imprisonment, and last but not least, defamation, which here's the pot calling the kettle black, a prime example. And then for the rest of the document, I know I said it's 91 pages. It's because she attached affidavits, she's attached screenshots, etc., which we're not going to get into because, again, I value your time and I only want to give you the TLDR as best as I can. And this video is probably already at the over 1 hour mark, which is a lot longer than I expected, but that's because we had stuff of substance to discuss, and I wanted to make sure that you understand my position, okay? I am obsessed with the truth, as you all know. On my channel, I take the facts as I see them. I am not going to be a mouthpiece. I'm not one of those guys you can just pay, pay to speak. Other than promotions. Promotions are obviously going to be different. I said we're going to be doing those on my channel at some point, so don't forget to like this video, comment below, subscribe to the channel so you get more content like this. But I want to emphasize, and I cannot emphasize this enough, this is critical, folks. This is absolutely critical, okay? If you are a victim of SA, God forbid, and if you are a victim of assault, God forbid, and if you are a victim in any way, shape, or form, and you have a legitimate claim, you need to come forward. You need to discuss this with a professional, and you need to report it because the violator deserves to be punished, okay? That is why during the Johnny Depp trial, Amber Heard, the lying scumbag that she is, went down very heavily because she was exposed for the liar that she is. Same goes for the Tonsil twins case. If you're not familiar with that, go check out Megan Fox and her content. Shout out to you, Megan. She has been talking about that case for a while. A woman who has accused a man of getting pregnant after giving him a sloppy one, if you know what I'm talking about. Those people just don't belong. It is ridiculous. It is absurd. Now, if you're you have a valid claim and things did happen to you, like in the Masterson case, who, his conduct was covered by the Scientology church and Scientology community. Same with Weinstein. Hollywood had been protecting him for a long time. Hollywood is notorious for these types of things. Those people, I have absolutely no qualms about. They should be put behind bars. They need to pay the price. Civil fines, civil penalties, criminal fines, criminal penalties, jail time, put them in there, and whatever the jury says goes. That's just the way it is. That's what I believe. And when I look at a case like this, regardless if it's a man accusing a woman accusing a man, it doesn't matter. I look at the facts, and I'm telling you, I don't even need to read her report. I just have to look at the public reaction. I see the ire, the wrath. She talks about it. She openly discusses how the community has shunned her, how the police have turned away from her, how nobody wants to help her out. It doesn't just happen because you have a legitimate claim and everyone is just like, we don't like you, so therefore we're going. People don't operate like that, especially en masse. Individuals can. Individuals can turn on you just because of XYZ. But thousands of people, maybe tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of people who have so far looked at this case have gone, something is wrong here. We don't believe you. It's because Aiden said something. After they read an unredacted police report, honey, I highly doubt that. So, I want to conclude my commentary by saying, I think Lindsay needs professional help, and I don't mean legal. I'm sorry to say it. She thought, Aiden, he's got deep pockets. I can come after him. Let's go. It failed. Now she's trying again. Good luck. I mean, mental illness is a real thing. I have, the only thing that I feel sorry for is that Lindsay has not sought out the professional help that she needs in order to better her life and move on from all of this. I think she needs to leave Aiden alone as best as she can. And maybe, if she had truly moved on and Aiden would have seen it, I don't know, maybe he would have dropped the lawsuit. Maybe not. I don't know. But you just keep perpetrating this. You keep moving forward. And it's only going to raise the ire of Aiden. From what I know about Aiden, he's an all right guy. He's got a few, everybody's got their thing. I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to criticize. I'm not here to point fingers or point blame or whatever. But I just want to make it clear. If you truly made a false report and now you're upset by it, that's a you problem. You did that to yourself and you have to live with the consequences. But if God forbid, at some point, somewhere, somehow, which I don't anticipate will, but if it does, I will be there and I will make a new video, by God. This is my promise to you, Lindsay, that if there is indeed some serious evidence that we have never seen, I swear, Amber Heard is like ringing bells in my ears. Mountains of evidence that the court never... Okay, so why didn't you leak it to the public? Aiden leaked it. Why aren't you leaking all your mountains of evidence if they exist? Because just saying I have mountains of evidence is not enough. You have to have proof. Vogue magazine made a catastrophic mistake during the Amber Heard trial. They said, believe women, all women, basically without saying it, regardless of the evidence, regardless of the facts. Women just must be believed. If a woman comes forward, she must be believed. And that is bullcrap. Absolutely not. Women must be believed based on the evidence. If there is evidence, all bets are off. That's it. If there is no evidence and it's just you saying words, anybody can do that. You got to sift through the herd. You got to listen to the story. You got to listen to the facts. Sometimes just words enough may be enough. You know what I mean? If the story makes sense, it is believable, you tell it on multiple different occasions, spread out days, weeks, months, and you're consistent and the facts are consistent, I think then you have a case. But I highly, highly suspect this did not happen here. And I'm willing to bet money. It's disgusting to falsely accuse someone, just as it is equally disgusting to essay someone. I don't know. Are they different, really? I don't know. You tell me, Chad. Let me know in the comments below. I need a break from all this. I'm going to go take a nap or something. This has been very heavy. This is a heavy topic, and I know a lot of you, I probably should have started the video with a trigger warning or something. I hope I didn't need it. But folks, I wanted to thank you all for watching. I hope you learned something, and respect to Aiden for putting up with this garbage. Aiden, you need to pick your women better. I know he's got one now, so thank God. Meredith, shout out to you. You are awesome. Chandler and I met Aiden and Meredith when we went to the first Karen Reed trial, and we went to dinner together. They're a lovely couple, and I wish them nothing but happiness and success in life. I know that they're doing well as far as I know, and for the most part, I mean, everybody's got their thing. But come on, folks, this is what I just read should be torched. It is worthless. Thank you all for watching. See you next time.